800 years ago, on a windswept plain with no name on any map, a boy was born with nothing. No army, no fortune, no throne waiting for him. His father was murdered before he was 10 years old. His own tribe abandoned his family to starve on the steppe. He was hunted, enslaved, and left for dead more than once. That boy's name was Temujin. You know him by another name, Genghis Khan. By the time he died, he had built the largest contiguous land empire the world has ever seen, bigger than Rome, bigger than Alexander's Greece, bigger than anything before or since. Not through inherited power, not through luck, through a mindset, one forged in hardship, discipline, and an unbreakable will to endure. Today, we're not just going to talk about conquest, we're going to talk about how he thought, the warrior philosophy of the steppe, and what it can teach us about surviving and winning in our own lives. To understand the Mongol mindset, you have to understand the land that created it. The Central Asian steppe is not gentle. Summers scorch. Winters can drop to 50 degrees below freezing. There is no shelter, no soft ground, no guarantee of a next meal. The people who survived there weren't the strongest. They were the most adaptable. A Mongol warrior grew up on horseback before he could properly walk. He learned to shoot a bow while riding at full gallop, to survive on nothing but dried milk curd and horse blood for days, to sleep in the saddle if he had to. This wasn't cruelty for its own sake, it was preparation. The steppe didn't care about excuses, neither did life. And so, neither did the Mongols. There's a saying that's long circulated in the oral tradition around the great Khans. It is not enough that I succeed, everyone else must fail. Brutal, yes, but underneath the brutality is a principle worth sitting with. Comfort breeds weakness. The Mongols distrusted ease. They believed hardship was not something to avoid, it was the forge. Ask yourself, where in your own life are you choosing comfort over growth? Here's something most people don't know about Genghis Khan. He wasn't just a conqueror, he was a lawmaker. He created a code called the Yassa, a strict set of laws that governed everything from military conduct to loyalty to basic honesty. Lying was punished. Theft was punished. Abandoning a fellow warrior in battle was punished, severely. Why does this matter? Because the popular image of the barbarian horde is wrong. The Mongol war machine wasn't chaos. It was one of the most disciplined, organized fighting forces in human history. Units of 10, then 100, then 1,000, then 10,000, each with clear command structures, clear signals, clear accountability. The lesson here isn't about war. It's about order preceding power. You cannot build anything lasting, a career, a body, a skill, a legacy, without discipline as the foundation. The Mongols understood that raw aggression without structure just burns out. It was the combination of ferocity and discipline that let a population smaller than a modern city conquer most of the known world. Where is your life missing structure? Where is ambition without a system going to waste? The Mongols were not the most technologically advanced civilization they encountered. They didn't invent gunpowder. They didn't have the walled cities, the libraries, or the deep bureaucracies of the empires they eventually toppled. China, Persia, Khwarezmia. But they had something more dangerous. The willingness to absorb what worked and discard what didn't. When they encountered siege engines they didn't have, they captured engineers and learned to build their own. When they needed administrators to run captured cities, they recruited them, regardless of religion, ethnicity, or background. Genghis Khan was famous for a level of religious tolerance almost unheard of in the 13th century, not out of sentiment, but strategy. A stable, cooperative population was more valuable than a persecuted one. This is one of the most overlooked parts of the Mongol philosophy. Ego did not get in the way of results. They didn't cling to, "Our way is the only way." They asked one question, "Does this work?" and adjusted without hesitation. How much of your own life is run by pride instead of results? How often do you keep doing something the same way simply because it's familiar, not because it works? Mongol mythology traces its origins to a blue-grey wolf and a fallow deer, the union believed to have produced the first ancestors of the Mongol people. The wolf wasn't just a symbol, it was an identity. Wolves don't wait for prey to come to them. They don't complain about the harshness of winter. They move as a unit, they conserve energy, they strike with precision when the moment is right, and they endure when it isn't. Contrast that with the mindset so many of us default to today, waiting for ideal conditions, waiting for motivation, waiting for permission. There's a widely repeated saying, often attributed to Genghis Khan, that captures this. Conquering the world on horseback is easy. It is dismounting and governing that is hard. Whether or not he spoke those exact words, the idea holds. The hardest part was never the raw aggression. It was the sustained discipline after the initial victory. Anyone can have one good day, one burst of effort, one moment of courage. The warrior mindset is about what you do on the 1000th day, not the first. Genghis Khan died in 1227. His empire eventually fractured, as all empires do. But the philosophy, the code of resilience, discipline, adaptability, and relentless will outlived every border he ever drew. You don't need an army, you don't need a horse or a bow, but you can still choose the mindset of the steppe, to treat hardship as fuel instead of an excuse, to build discipline before you chase ambition, to adapt without ego, to move like the wolf, not the sheep. The empire Genghis Khan built is long gone. The mindset that built it doesn't have to be. Subscribe for weekly explorations of Mongol philosophy, steppe wisdom, and the warrior mindset.